Hi guys, I've had a few questions about Qualtrics and about guides to kind of our project and setting up the survey, some things that you're going to need to have. So I'm going to give you a little bit of clarification in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I want to let you know about, we somewhat went over this before whenever we were actually in class, but I want to reiterate it again that Qualtrics has built-in libraries of questions for you. So some of these are going to pertain to your projects, others are not, but I encourage you to explore them because it will help you figure out how to develop your questions a little bit better. And I encourage you to look at those marketing scales. I provided you all the chapters on different marketing scales that you could actually employ in your research. So you're not trying to actually reinvent the wheel here. There are established scales that you can use that you don't really have to come up with a lot. You just have to adapt these scales to whatever you're actually researching. So the first thing that you would want to do if you're looking for the questions that Qualtrics already has is you would go to this import questions, and you would see this at the bottom of a survey. And you would click import questions and a pop-up would appear where you would see Qualtrics library or my surveys. Now this is from my Qualtrics account, and as you can see I have a lot of surveys in my Qualtrics account, but the Qualtrics library also has surveys. So you could go and you could select that Qualtrics library up at the top. And from there, you would then see a pop-up that would say survey library or block library. In this case, you would need to select the survey library. And that's going to be important because you'll be able to find different things a lot easier because the surveys are organized into different types like customer research, demographics, employee research. So there are a lot of different categories here that you could explore on your own. And I encourage you to do that. Definitely for the demographics for your survey, I would encourage you to use what they have, adapt it to whatever you need, and make the most use of what you already have instead of trying to reinvent the wheel for some of these types of questions. Now, what I expect you to have are different types of scales. So if you recall from the class, I'm sure that you have from your notes, because I had you do this electronically, doing bipolar type scales, which is shown here. And then I also had you do likert type scales. So definitely you're going to need different types of scales, so don't send me all likert, all bipolar. And if you look at the parameters in your Word document on Blackboard, you'll see that you also need at least one open-ended question. So your survey needs to be varied, and it also needs to be varied by different styles of questions. So if you're in Qualtrics, there are matrix options available. There are single, multiple choice questions available. Vary your types of questions, because if you do not vary your types of questions, the respondents are going to get tired, fatigued of going through these types of questions, and they may just go straight down the line and actually not answer the questions appropriately. So it's important. We've covered a lot in this class. Especially, we covered a lot about surveys, and I mentioned to you different things about bias and how attention checks are important. You should think about how you could incorporate an attention check. I don't have that specifically in the Word document that you have to have an attention check, I don't believe, but I think that it would be important and it would help your survey tremendously if you have somewhat of an attention check in there. So be thinking about that. And the last thing that I want to show you is how to actually find the document and information. So you would first need to go to the parts 4 of your survey draft folder, and that's located in your course project tab in Blackboard. From there, you could go to the details for project 4 with a Word document. Now, this is where you can find the Word document there. It's at the top of the page, so very easy for you to find. And the last thing that I would encourage you to look at is the rubric for this assignment. The rubric is going to help you. I've included in there that you should be looking at your research questions, and you should have items, that is scale items, measurement items, that actually are going to reflect your research questions and allow you to answer your research questions. That's really important. And you know in the course project tab where you can find your specific research questions for your group. So be sure to look at all of these things. It's really important. That's why I gave you an extended amount of time, I think almost 4 weeks, for us to actually do this and work on this. And so that's why also I encouraged you to divide up the work between participants in your group. That way you could actually, some in your group could answer some questions, some in your group could answer other questions by creating different scale items for those particular research questions. So I didn't expect any one individual to actually create the whole survey. It's important that everyone is splitting the work. So that's why I really encourage each of you to take a good look at your survey, because this is going to be really important for us to get high quality data for whenever we actually send out our surveys and actually collect the data. So again, this is all that I have for you on this. There are many, many more details on Blackboard that are going to give you a much deeper insight, but I wanted to give you some clarification because I've had some questions about this. So if you do have any other questions, feel free to email me at kt.manus@ttu.edu, and I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks. Bye-bye.